We're in math. Don't worry, we've got this. We're in the operators tab, and let's go through this just piece by piece. What is logic? Well, when world is started, if something's happened, we need to understand how do we check an if. This allows us to check if something. We can also check if something and something are true. So we could say, is this this, and is this not this? So this allows us to do and statements, not statements, or statements. So it could be this or that. It could be this, not that. There's a lot of options here, and if statements are super powerful, but they all start here in logic. So the first one you're going to see here is equals. A double equals means equals. An exclamation point equals means not equal to. We then have our less than and greater than symbols. We then have our less than and equal to and our greater than and equal to. And then we have and, not, and or. Following that, we have basic operations like our plus sign, our minus sign, our multiply, our division, and our percent sign. So these can all be used in your calculations. Following that, we have basic math. So we have ABS, ceiling, clamp, floor, fraction, lerp, max, min, square root. I'm not gonna lie, I know about half of these, and I'm gonna tell you what I know, and if anybody else knows, please comment down what these do and kind of some examples so we can all learn together. ABS I'm not sure about. Ceiling is gonna find the ceiling. So if you have a fraction like 1.5, it's gonna give you a 2. So if you plug 1.5 into a ceiling operation, it's gonna bring you the highest whole number. So that would be 2, or if you had 2.75, that would be 3. If you had 2.1, that would still be 3. Clamp, I think, works in a similar way to those, where it's like clamping it down. But honestly, I actually haven't used that one yet. Floor is one of my favorites. It removes the upper decimal and brings you the lowest value. So if you wanted to calculate 2, but you had 2.1, it'll give you 2, just the whole number. We then have fraction, which will give it to you as a fraction, I suppose. Still haven't used it yet, so this one not sure about. Lerp, not so sure about. Max, I would assume gives you the max value, but again, haven't used it. Min, also haven't used it. And square root should function like a regular square root function. But a lot of testing around here to do, and at some point I plan to do an entire math class, so in that we will go deep dive into this, and I'll get some experts to help teach this as well. All right, moving forward, we have advanced math. So if you thought the math tab was hard, here we've got our pow, cosine, sine, tangent, a cosine, a sin, a tangent 2, exponent, log 10, random number with decimals. Okay, now we're here where I can talk about this. But let's just go through advanced math up here real quick. So we have cosine, sine, and tangent. This is for basically finding on a circle. These calculate like a squared plus b squared equals c squared, and they do variations of that. Anyway, they're super powerful, but I have yet to fully learn and understand how to use them. If you understand these better and you've used them, especially here in Horizon, please give us some examples of how you've used them and what you've found as being successful, and I'd love to feature that in another video. Next up, we have random numbers. Random number with decimal. So if you have 0 and 1, it will give you any number between 0 and 0.99. I don't think it'll give you 1 because normally in the random numbers, it's exclusive of the upper number. So 0 and 1 will only return 0 if it's a random number. But with random number with decimals, you'll get all the decimals in between. And so if you wanted to get like 1 through 4, you would do 1 being the first number and 4 wouldn't be the last number. It would actually be 5, and that would give you 1, 2, 3, or 4. But do remember when you're using this, especially with player IDs start at 0, and a lot of things will start at 0, so make sure that your first number is a 0. And remember, the first number is inclusive and the last number is exclusive. So we don't count the last number, we only count the first number. 2D Perlin noise is probably really amazing. I have yet to use it, but I can't wait to check it out. Moving forward, we have object transform. We have the position of object. This allows you to calculate the position of an object, which gives you an X, Y, Z value, giving you the position inside the world. We have the rotation of the object, which gives you its rotation in the world. Scale of an object, which tells you what is its current scale at. Please note that scale is applicable to the outside dimension. So if you group a bunch of objects and then don't touch the scale after that point, it will be 1, 1, 1. And so I highly recommend trying to keep everything at 1, 1, 1, especially when you're working with large objects and you want to scale them. So grouping them together and then not touching them is a great way if you intend to scale them inside of your script. Velocity of an object will give you a velocity value. Forward direction of an object will give you an XYZ value. This actually comes back to that sine, cosine, and tangent I was talking about. And I believe upward direction of an object is going to be in that same category where they're using that square, triangle, all that fun stuff. Next up, we have vector math. We can grab a vector from x, y, z, will allow you to create math for each x, y, and z value. That means you could calculate specifically the x, the y, and the z independent of each other. And if we move further down, you'll see that you can actually pull out the x, y, and z of a vector. So you can get that exact value and pull it out and then utilize it. So say for instance you wanted to scale an object to be twice its width. Well, you could apply that just to the width and leave y and z the same if it was the x, for instance. Next we have normalize. My understanding of normalize is that it's going to bring things back into that unit circle, so it's going to make sure that it's not so the length of that one dimension should be 1 when you're calculating things. If it's 2 or any other odd number, it's a lot harder to work with. So you usually want to normalize that first. And that's the extent of my knowledge on normalize. Next we have dot, cross, and those ones are also some more math that I have yet to learn. Distance to, magnitude of, yeah, I can't really speak to them, I haven't used them. Another one I haven't used is reflect. Moving on to new rotation from XYZ works just like the new vector from XYZ, except for its rotation values. We also have look at, which can be useful when you're trying to get something to look in a specific direction. I've mostly worked on that based off of other people's examples and the examples provided by Horizon, so I look forward to understanding this better in the future myself. Colors. We can create a color from an RGB scale, which allows us to dynamically change a color. And RGB is all in 1, so it would be a decimal point between 0 and 1, with 1 being white. If RGB are all 1, that's white, and if they're all 0, that's black. We can also change RGB to hue, saturation, and vibrance, as well as from hue, saturation, vibrance back to RGB. I'm not sure the intent and use of this. If you have an example of when you needed to use this, I'd love to hear that. And then we can also calculate the color of an object. So if we needed to know what color an object was, it's kind of like the eyedropper tool for script. It's pretty cool. The player's index, or the inverse, where we use a number to get a player from an index. So if you needed to know who is player 0, who is player 1, 2, through however many players you have, you can use get player from index. Otherwise, you can find out what player number they are by using get player index. Name of player will bring back a string of what their player name is, so that's great for scoreboards. We can also get forward of the player, knowing which direction they are moving forward, and we can get the position of the player to know exactly where they are in the world. This is great for teleporting objects to the player. Next we have text, which we can calculate the length of that string to find out how long is it. And then we have variable as string. This converts any number variable into a text string so you can combine it. So if you had player score and you wanted their name to be next to it, pull down plus, then you put the user's name on the left side, and then on the right side, you'd want to convert the score variable into a string, so that way you can combine two strings together. You can't combine a number to a string, but you can combine a string with a string, and that's what this does. All right, there you have it. That's some math. Thank you guys so much for checking this video out. If you have any questions, don't hesitate to ask, and I look forward to seeing you in the next one. Bye!